clearly, going back to high school for me, we were not going to be able to lock up 80 million Americans for having tried illegal drugs.
If the DEA decided to crack down on all pot smokers and forced everyone to take a piss test, enforcing this law would require building prison walls around almost every city in America.
I just see such a corollary between the war on drugs and prohibition of alcohol. We tried the prohibition of alcohol, and I don't think anybody in this country wants to return to that. And yet alcohol is unbelievably destructive for a small percentage of people who imbibe.
Prohibition was an attempt by ideologues, similar to the ideologues that we have today, to impose their moral values on the rest of the country. And what they discovered was that it creates crime waves.
My name is T. Rogers. I am the CEO of Sidewalk University and the founder of SELF, Survival Education for Life and Family. I also helped start the Bloods on the West Coast.
Anyway. Get your ball off my face,
No camera, you don't want no camera? No camera time?
Blood used to mean my brother. Exactly. From the Vietnam War.
Being a drug dealer doesn't mean that you are a gang member. And being a gang member doesn't mean that you're a drug dealer. But the war on drugs in itself, in essence, it gives you the power to sell drugs in a particular neighborhood.
Drugs come from poverty, which inspires crime, which inspires a loss of confidence, a loss of pride.
Instead of war on poverty, you've got a war on drugs, so the police can bother me.
The administration had a war on poverty, and that seemed to dissipate. It seemed to disappear at all. I mean, it was gone. And then all of a sudden, up pops this thing called war on drugs.
After getting out of the mental hospital, my brother was moved to a halfway house deep in the ghetto. Here Kurt was introduced to crack cocaine. The people running the halfway house drove Kurt to the pawn shop where he pawned his guitars worth over $2,000 and traded for $100 worth of crack. I was always told that crack was a black man's drug, but now my own brother was hooked.
Drug prohibition for cocaine was basically passed in order to protect white women from black males. And the history will document this.
Talking to people in the ghetto, one dealer's name always came up when talking about crack's popularity. Freeway Ricky Ross became known as the Walmart of crack. Ricky's story has become as legendary as Tony Montana and Scarface, but with an even more bizarre twist. Ricky, who is currently serving time in the Texarkana Federal Prison, is scheduled for release in 2013. The prison denied me access with a camera, so I started interviewing Ricky over the prison payphone.
You know, a lot of people don't know what it's like to come in the house and there's nothing to eat. You know, to go to a supermarket and walk through the store and eat out of the cookies and things of that nature just to have something to eat. Cocaine came along, you know, and gave me a new horizon, I would say.
There's a new epidemic. Smokable cocaine, otherwise known as crack.
I remember clearly one day in the late 80s, every single news network simultaneously running an identical news alert about the new, incredible, powerful, unbelievably cheap drug that was to sweep the nation.
This is crack cocaine.
Soon, every single black person living in the ghetto would sell his own mother for another hit of crack cocaine. It was like watching a strategically engineered ad campaign. Talk about perfect product placement. Did we mention it's cheap and strong and very addictive? Only $5 now, so stay away from it.
Let there be no mistake. This stuff is poison.
Crack cocaine epidemic. Crack cocaine epidemic.
Few street-level dealers have ever reached the legendary status of Freeway Rick, with distribution that rivaled many Fortune 500 companies.
Freeway Ricky Ross was a young, aggressive, savvy, streetwise marketer who started selling cocaine, and then suddenly some major sources opened up for him.
At the height of Rick's operation, he had over 40 full-time employees in Los Angeles alone. He had cook houses, cash counting houses, rock houses, decoy houses, and even a house he lived in.
Cooking was always our most vulnerable and our most time-consuming thing to do. Usually you could put it in like a big Samsonite suitcase. You could put 100 keys just about in one of those, or maybe 2 of them. So that's what we normally cook every night, like 100 kilos.
Rick shares some good down-home cooking tips about rocking it up.
Well, the way we did it is I basically was a chef. You know, I did all the stirring. I would tell the guys to mix. Like one guy, he would be standing there, and I would tell him, add more baking soda, pour more water, you know, that type of situation. So it was more, it was like an assembly line.
I know this is nothing to joke about, but Rick is your all-American opportunist. And as the media told us, crack was now the big new opportunity.
You know, we had houses where you basically would go up to the window and it would be served right out the window, kind of like the way McDonald's does it, I guess. Because we had houses in so many different locations. Basically, you know, I wanted a location. I wanted it to be convenient for the people, you know, where they wouldn't have to drive for. It was kind of like marketing, I guess you would say.
The gangs evolved, and the gangs were a great business venture. They're basically marketing tools. That's really what they were. And they were quietly promoted behind the scenes. They got a lot of money. They got a lot of power. They fought for drug turf.
Everyone's working for somebody else right now, legally or illegally.
In order to film people selling and using drugs, we would have to go undercover. So we met up with an old friend of mine who was living very close to the most infamous spot in all of Los Angeles.
Yeah, put that one back in your like funny little case I made you.
All right, this is San Julian right here. And this is fucking like, this is the spot, dude. Damn. I walk down San Julian, we will get all that. Dude, you missed me. Yeah, all that was fucking, this is Tent City right here. Damn. This is San Pedro right here, which is like San Pedro, Grand, all this shit. This is just nothing but drugs. This is considered a neutral territory to gangs, like all different gangs, Bloods, Crips.
Make sure you just look for a place to park.
All right. No. Yeah, but you should put that camera down.
My friend Mac Lindsay agreed to pose as a homeless guy and film people smoking crack in Skid Row.
Dude, if these people knew what we were doing, we would be fucking dead.
Yeah.
I mean dead, not even like beat up, we'd be dead.
One Thanksgiving, my brother came home from a halfway house. My aunts, my uncles, my young rich cousins were all there. No one could have been prepared for the moment Kurt pulled out a crack pipe at the dinner table and started smoking rock during the pre-meal prayer.
There's a thing called a bell. You get your bell rung. That's when you hit the pipe and you hold it. And you hold it for so long that something inside of your head, it rings.
After the first hit, you're going on that's the highest you're going to really get. That is the highest you're going to get.
How do they call ringing a bell? Is that somebody else in there? Did you say that?
After that, you have an increased appetite for cocaine. And you want more, and you want more, and you want more. And you tell yourself, I'll just take $10 or $5 to buy me a little hit to sustain myself, to hold myself off. But after you get that little hit, you want more, and you want more, and you want more. Then that's called chasing the rock.
Drugs can obviously cause horrible addictions, but the drug war creates black markets, creating an even more dangerous addiction for money.
Well, I became addicted to the money and also the power too, I believe. You know, to be in charge and to have people look up to you and talk highly of you.
Big names like Freeway Rick going down. People actually want to be like him because they don't think about drugs, they just think about the money.
But what about those people whose lives are still affected by the Los Angeles crack epidemic?
Someone that wants to get in a program, someone that wants to get away from this lifestyle, easily can do it. Easily can do it. I mean, if they can just overcome the addiction.
Many people in Washington will tell you that the crack epidemic ended in the late 90s. But according to Sergeant Lou Daigle of the Los Angeles Police Department, crack sales are stronger than ever.
basically on San Julian, you can come and everyone's